What's up, everybody? I'm Nisan Stewart, and I want to welcome you to Life in Beats Per Minute, where we discuss the rhythms of life, purpose, and faith, and where they all intersect. I'm excited today. This is our first episode. I'm very excited because we were able to catch up with my friend who's the man. He is the man.
I don't know about all that.
Legendary producer, music director, composer. He might have to stop and get on the phone because he's in the middle of doing so much. And it's all good. We understand it. But this is my friend. I'm excited to welcome my friend Adam Blackstone, music director to the stars. Glad to have you, man.
I'm glad to be here, man. We made it happen.
We made it happen.
I told you, you call me. I stop what I'm doing when I can.
Oh yeah, they gonna call. They gonna call, man.
It's all good. Thank you for having me, bro.
Man, glad to have you. Adam is so busy right now. So much going on. This is an amazing weekend. We're here downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And the Grammys are in a couple days. And not only does he have his hand in the Grammys, he has his hand in the Super Bowl coming up. He has his hand in the Oscars coming up. So much. And hey, man, it's an exciting time for basic black entertainment.
We doing good things. We're doing good things. I just wanted to, number one, say thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I always, not to jump forward years, but I always appreciate, the West Coast brethren accepting me and my squad as well. And, it's always been love since day one. So I appreciate that.
It's good, man. So let's jump right into it. Just right now, getting ready for the Grammys. I'm sure as this comes out, people will have seen the 62nd. I believe it's a 62nd.
They just released it today.
Yeah, 62nd Grammys. So, I want everybody to kind of get a picture of that. Tell me how that's looking for you, the Grammys. What's happening?
It's a big time this week. The head producer of the show, Ken Ehrlich, I think it's his last year as well. So, Ken, with all of us, has been there since we've probably, the last 20 years. So he's very instrumental in the creative process of how we visually see some of our favorite records on stage. And, it's a sad time, but it's exciting to see the new energy that's coming in. Some up and coming producers that have learned from him. I know I've taken bits and pieces from him and tried to incorporate them not only into a stage show, but like a tour concept because of how I saw it on the Grammys, whether that be, Prince or Beyonce or Bruno or whatever. Sting, was one of my favorites. The Clark sisters was on there, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. I remember that. So he's been very instrumental in the creative process of even live music. So I was able to sit down with him yesterday, and my client Alicia Keys is hosting her second Grammys. And so there's ins and outs of musical underscore and bids that we were coming up with creatively, and I think it's going to be a great show. He has a lot of our favorite artists, but some new and upcoming people, Billie Eilish, Camila Cabello, Kirk is on the show. Okay. That's going to be dope. They got a tribute to Nipsey, which is very unprecedented for this type of show. BET Awards, it's almost expected. I would even say VMAs would be almost expected a little bit based off of Nipsey's impact and hip hop's impact on music, but for the Grammys to be doing this, that's a really big deal.
It's huge, man.
So 1500 is involved in that.
Dope.
John Legend, Meek Mill, Khaled. So it's going to be an overall great show. That's good, man. I'm excited to see it.
And we're going to do some reviews on the show after.
Okay.
So I know it's going to be amazing. I'm doing something with Fox to talk about the show, and I'm just excited because I know the sound is going to be great, man. You have ever since, I would say we've known each other 15 years plus. Since you've been in the game, just the sound that you have developed as a musical director has been amazing, man. And I'm excited not only for what's happening at the Grammys, Super Bowl is going to be amazing. It's going to be huge. This is how many performances have you done Super Bowl?
So this will be my third Super Bowl being involved in, my second actually playing.
How many can say that? That's huge. That's huge. So tell us a little bit about that process for those that don't know what that looks like. Just MDing for some of our favorite artists on a stage that big.
Yeah, every bowl for me has been different, just to be honest with you. The process kind of stays the same, but the actual the working flow is different depending on who I'm with. So my first Super Bowl 52, I was with Justin Timberlake. We had just come off of 2020 tour, so we were kind of in.
Tour was crazy.
Thank you, man. We were kind of in a cycle already of live arrangements and music. So it was almost, I hate to say it like this, but it was easier for me to be in a touring cycle and say, let's make our 2-hour show 15 minutes and chop it down. We know the best important parts because we've been able to see audiences react to that while we were on tour. My second Super Bowl last year was with Maroon 5. Now, I didn't all the way MD that, so I don't want to take any credit away from Adam Levine and the team that he had. He asked me my opinion on some of
Shout out to PJ Morton.
Shout out PJ, my guy, yes. So he just asked me my process because sonically he was liking how Justin was sounding. So he said, yo, can you come in and help us sonically? We have the set list, we have this or whatever. So that process was different because I was acting more as an advisor on the audio side over arranging and stuff like that.
Got you.
This Super Bowl 54 is very unprecedented, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. This is the first time the NFL has announced 2 headliners. Yeah. We always see guests. We see Beyonce with Coldplay, or we see Missy with Katy Perry, but they're not announced. This is a surprise. With this being announced, both artists had to come to a understanding of who they wanted the MD of the show, the overall show, to be, because they have their respective teams. Kim Burse, we know, is over J-Lo.
Shout out to our girl, Kim.
Yeah, shout out to Kim. Andros and AC are a Spanish team of producers and engineers from Spain that have been with Shakira for a while. Incredible brains. But as the overall show, the NFL contacted me because both ladies came to the agreement to have me.
Isn't that huge?
So I feel
huge. The NFL contacts our boy. AB, Basic Black, man, that's great, man.
Shout out to Rock Nation for the plug.
Shout out to Rock,
We're thankful for that. And a Super Bowl in LA next year.
Listen, I'm so ready. Yeah. I went into, actually, sidebar, I went and toured the new stadium.
How is it, man?
Bro,
who plays there? Chargers or the Rams?
Both are going to play there. My cousin happens to work for Turner, the organization that's building the stadium. And I went and took a tour of everything. The new amphitheater that's going to be there that I'm sure we will eventually be doing some work at. 6,000 seats. It's amazing, man. So next year is going to be great.
So Tom Brady or?
I don't know. I don't know.
What's your team?
I have friends that play on some teams, so I don't have a team like I do basketball, which we'll talk about coming up. We're going to talk about that. Our teams are getting together in a few days.
Tomorrow.
That's right. But so at the end of the day, I know that, when we watch the finished product of that show, for me, it's always how it sounds, which again, in the last.
So even stepping back in on that process, because it's live to track. And what that means to LTT, live to track, the vocalists sing to the band on track, on playback. Now, what I've in the last, I'm going to say 5 to 6 years, I never really liked when a band was playing visually, but you hear the album. Because we both know, this is just a matter of preference. This is all my personal preference. This is not a right or wrong way. I just want to preface that. But we know when you play the tom or the drums, with or without a trigger per se, it don't sound like that, the radio. So, or when I play live bass and the synth bass, it's different, sonically. So what I've done with my sound for pre-records is I take the band in the studio, and so we kind of are miming to ourselves. Right. And then I'm able to control the mix that way in Pro Tools. I'm able to balance out where the album stem should really ride above us. I'm able to balance out if there's a drum fill, I can ride that up.
Yeah, that's key.
If I'm doing a slide or something like that, or things to make it feel live. So that process for the Super Bowl kind of starts 3 or 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
So I've been working probably since like right before Thanksgiving on February's show.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I think just throughout history and just being a fan and a friend of you, I think you've mastered that mix, which always matters to me. Is amazing. And I think actually to go back, I'm gonna tell you my favorite actually Adam Blackstone musical directed performance. I believe it was the VMAs with Justin.
Yes.
That arrangement, first of all, the arrangement.
Thank you. That was our first show.
Let me tell you that, and I remember that arrangement left me wanting to see this tour. And I think the sound of it was amazing. The band, shout out to the band, JT's band, all the guys,
Tennessee
man.
Kids.
Listen, shout out to the Tennessee Kids straight up. That was really, and of course with Brian being one of my favorite drummers and one of my friends watching him, but not only him, just everybody in the band. That was a legendary performance, put together. And I think you set a standard that a lot of the young guys are following today. Which I think is great to have, a mentor. Kobe had Michael.
Everything I do, man, is to teach the youth or the generation before me, what it is. Like I know, we'll get into this, but like I don't want to do this forever. And I feel like the knowledge that I've been able to gain is almost more important than my bass playing or anything like that. I think me showing people how to put shows together, letting them know there's a huge difference between mono and stereo.
Absolutely.
There's a huge difference between stereo and 5.1. So things like that, man, knowing how to use time code, like these are things that, I was able to watch, Ricky Minor and
shout out to Rick, the absolute mentor.
He's the guy. And Kevin Antunes, I watched from afar for a long time. Patrice Rushen, you know what I mean? So I really studied pop music, which is different too, not to change gears, but like growing up in church, me playing jazz through my adolescence, like I thought I was gonna swing, like be a upright bass player, moving to Philadelphia, I'm from Jersey, so moving to Philly in 99, 2000, meeting the Roots.
So see, first of all, let's back up. Let's back up, because see, that I didn't know. I didn't know you was from Jersey.
I'm from Willingboro, New Jersey.
Okay.
In the 90s, I was born in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
So in the 90s, you get to Willingboro, you made it. That's like going to where you live at.
I live now east in the Inland Empire, but from Inglewood. Chino Hills is
Chino Hills. So that's like you went from Inglewood to Chino Hills.
Okay, that's what I mean by that.
I'm just saying, like, so as a middle class family, my parents, like, you kind of made it a little bit, right?
Got it.
So when I moved to Willingboro, which was technically 20 minutes from Philadelphia, we call it South Jersey. I went to this affluent black public school.
Okay.
I had no idea about race and culture until I became 17, 18, 19 years old. So my development in race relations started fairly late, but as I look back, it helped me see that the color of our skin was already great. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I went, fast forward, I went to Willingboro High School, my town's high school, and I didn't make the band. So I'm like, who is playing bass? Like, and then I'm like, I gotta go to one of their rehearsals. And it's like this dude named Derek Hodge.
Shout out D Hodge.
D Hodge. So I was like, I got a lot more work. And then the next year, it's like, I didn't make the band.
Wow.
So it's like, who's playing bass now? And it's like, Daddy is Trebek.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's like,
shout out that.
And then the next year, I'm like, there's some competition. And it's like, yo, like, what's going on? And it's my brother, Dwayne Moore. On bass. So I was a freshman. Wayne was a sophomore. Terry was a junior.
All at the same school?
We were all at the same school.
Wow. Listen, that's bass player 101 that you're going through.
It's got a little Mecca on it. And like from this day, those 4 dudes are my favorite bass players because they helped shape who I was not only as a musician, but as a person and a man in that culture as well. You know what I'm saying? A boy at that time, but and I'm thankful to call them like four of my best friends even today. That's and they are out doing.
They're doing so well.
So many amazing things, man. Yeah. It's so incredible. So moving to Philadelphia for college, I went to University of Arts in Philly.
Okay.
And I was already under the impression like I want to relate it to like playing basketball. Like you be a senior at high school and you the man, and then when you go to Kentucky, you're a freshman, and it's kind of like Anthony Davis is there already. You know what I'm saying? And so coming from where I went, we were all, in my head, the best already. So I had a different work ethic going to college because I was like, I'm not going to sit this out. Like, I ain't redshirting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just always was pushing hard, man, working hard, pushing hard, doing jazz gigs for $30 and restaurant gigs and taking private lessons in addition to my school lessons on Upright because I really felt like, you know, African-American playing jazz was like what I was going to do. Yeah. Then I moved to Philadelphia. That's what I thought I was going to do. I met Questlove in 2001.
Shout out Quest, man.
And like and James Poyser and Sean G and Rich Nichols, specifically those four guys. And they have been the biggest culture life-changing moment in my life to know that my dad and my mom were very supportive of me having a music career, but they kind of showed me that you could do it on a professional level. I hadn't seen that before, close to me.
That's huge, man. I want to deal with that Philly circle. I call it the Philly circle, but let me just back up. Let me go ahead of that. Tell us about young Adam and when the interest, even in the bass, happened. Tell us about that.
So
because I know a lot of people will relate to their beginnings as a musician. So tell us about that.
No problem. I grew up in a small church, AME, Union, Allentown, AME church. My dad was the organist. Okay. And I don't know if y'all had this, but we didn't have a bass player. So it was organ and drums.
Organ and drums.
Yeah. And so my dad being a musician, and as I look back at it, we would call him now like a wedding band guy, but that wasn't the term back then. He was just, he was a local, working warrior musician for the weekends. He'd do parties, banquets, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every weekend he was going and come back for church and do it at funerals. You know what I'm saying? So when I was playing drums at our church because I was playing with my dad. It was a small family church, 60 members or whatever. When he would not be able to make church, him and my mom was like, "You're playing keys today. Like, I don't care if you don't know the song. Learn it. And this is what you're doing so that church can continue." Yeah. So that had embedded in me like the spirit of like, I never get nervous now. Fast forward 30 years, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the pressure to me. Super Bowl is like cool. But my mom like, don't mess up this Tremaine Hawkins song. Like
I know that
was the pressure, you know what I'm saying?
How your mama look back at you?
Yo, don't do that. Yeah. So I was a drummer. When we moved to Willingboro, like I said, I think that the elementary school band director kind of knew of my family as being musical. And all the black boys wanted to play drums in second and third grade. He said, "Yo, we got a lot of drummers. Why don't you try the bass?" And I'm like, heck nah, I'm not carrying. That's when we used to walk to school. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, nobody remembers that.
We walked to school. I'm like, I gotta walk to school with this instrument. I was like, I don't want to play no bass.
Yeah.
And second grade, man, he switched me to the bass. And from
second grade,
I switched to 4-string electric bass in second grade. And out of necessity for what my school band needed, we had drummers. We had no bass player. You know what I mean? So So yeah, I switched in second grade. Of course, I was playing half notes and whole notes and jingle bells and stuff like that. But then I would start to hear music different.
Yeah.
So I remember like hearing who I didn't know at the time, like Joel Smith. And like, I remember hearing like, just like, you know, Goucher, and like hearing these albums that I didn't know what it was until I actually picked up the instrument. And I was like, that's what it is. Cause I always used to listen to the drums, or I used to listen to the keys, cause that's what I was doing. You know what I mean? Or my mom sings, so I might listen to the choir or something. So it just helped my ears develop into, wow, the root of this chord, I control, the bass controls the root of this chord, and that can change the mood, it can change the atmosphere, it can change the quality of the chord emotionally. Yes. Like the bass has so much power in, you know, resonating one note. In the church, that's crazy too. Certain bass players that, you know, shout out to all the youngins doing it now, they'll play something, I'll just be like, yes. It makes you feel it. It changed the whole. It changed the whole thing. We're gonna talk about these killing cats. We definitely got a segment for that, man. I think your story is so amazing because it, you know, I think that people see you now. Some, you know, may see me and little things I do, and they wonder how did it start, you know, in the beginning and those things. So that's, you know, how you switched and went from drums to you know, keys, you know, because of the necessity in the church, and then, you know, the interest in the second grade. I think that's brilliant, man. And then being a part of, you know, being from LA, you know, the LA sound is what I'm just on, you know, the LA, the Cali sound, that the West Coast swag. And then when I first got into the game and really started paying attention to the all the guys from Philly, you know, and meeting, I think Brian was the first drummer from the area that, you know, and he has such a different thing. I was like, man, it's just amazing. Yeah. And the good thing about it is we would connect, you know, when we first got in the game, like you're talking like the late 90s, the early 2000s, Brian would come out, and I mean, it was a big deal. All the drummers would come to my church. We would sneak into church in the basement, you know, my father didn't even know we was going down there. Wow. He probably would have killed us if he knew what we was doing, but it all helped our careers, meeting just everybody, all drummers, you know, and working together, which I think then it wasn't really a competition. I think we all wanted to work. It was camaraderie. And get better. And we were getting better. I knew the type of drumming that I did. Yeah. And I knew it wasn't a Brian Fraser Moore style or a Gerard Barnes, you know, style. And so I think, you know, just learning from each other and then having a good time. And the guys from LA, we appreciate it. And then, but from Philly, again, the guys you named, D Moore, Thad, it's just an amazing thing. So that the Philly circle, man, how is it? We could talk about what it is in Los Angeles, if there is now an eagerness to get gigs, but in Philly, the guys that have made it. Tell us about the next guys coming behind you from Philly. Yeah, I mean, you know, I have to say, Nisan, it's really about accessibility. Yeah. And I would say we're peers as far as age, but like I didn't have YouTube. Yeah. Oh, man. You didn't have YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I remember in school having to rewind the CD to like transcribe like a Jocko lick or a Reggie Parker lick or a Maurice lick or something like that. But now it's so accessible to not only learn a song, whether it be fingerings or the lick or whatever. Instead of you sneaking in your dad's church, you can go to, you know, I'm going to just say Chris Dave's page. Oh, man. And be like, I don't need to invite him to the church. Like, I'm gonna go there. I can go to watch him actually play like live on somebody's Instagram. Or, you know, some of these, you know, Spank or Boots or Lil Mike Moore, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to you all of them, you can see them. And then for me, I'm like, I can see Damo and I can see B-Dub and Agape during church.
Yeah, live. Quickly.
Yeah.
You ain't got to move to see it.
So it's a little bit different with the guys, I think, under me, especially in Philadelphia, but I think it's throughout the country. Because
throughout the world.
Yeah. I don't think they see the grind that happened trying to get the gigs. And one thing that I try to stress when I do speak out is that each gig, no matter, like I said, I pay for $30 in jazz, or I could do the Super Bowl coming up. Each gig is an audition for the next
gig
thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So the musicianship matters.
Yeah.
But the lifestyle and the humbleness matters as well.
Yeah.
Because we only play on stage for 60 minutes. Like what's happening those other 23 hours around your bandmates?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so
that grind is real.
The grind is super real, and it's become almost too accessible, the gigs.
Yeah.
To either see the gigs or attain the gigs without having to do the grind work.
Yeah.
And I think that's a detriment to some of the younger people who clearly can play circles around me, but maybe not see the business acumen where I'm on the phone all day or sending emails, or I'm CCing the NFL, or I'm
responding, having to be available to speak to and somebody like you, working with multiple artists, multiple calls, having to be able to do that.
I have to give them 100%. They don't want 25 because I'm spread out 4 ways. They all want 100.
And then to that point, you know, because I'm sure there was a time you didn't have an assistant.
Yeah.
And then you had to be on that. That grind is real. One of the things, you know, that thing of being responsible in communication and being quick, you know, to communicate, I think is key. Many people just think it's the playing of the drum. They see you, think you just playing the bass and musical director. You, the last person to go to sleep, sometimes the first person to wake up, if you get a chance to go to sleep.
If you get a chance.
Just like, you know, we can recall, I know we worked with our boy Puff, shout out to Diddy, you know, there ain't no sleeping.
None.
You know what I'm saying?
And then he inspires you and makes you mad at the same time. But you like, listen, if you not sleeping, I can't sleep.
Listen.
You know what I mean?
Listen. So, give me one inspiring Diddy story.
That's easy. That's easy. Go to rehearsal. Let's just say we there 10 to 10. We praying. You know, he like to do his prayer out. He inspires.
Yeah.
He said, all right, everybody gonna come over to my house about midnight and we gonna go through it again. You know, like at midnight, we gonna do this again at your house?
Exactly.
I said, okay. It's very similar with Kanye as well. Like
different work ethic.
Just you know, he'll say, yo, we gotta leave here at 12. Cool. Everybody, I'm gonna get another studio. And we're gonna go work it out. So those things in the moment, you suck your teeth.
Yeah.
You're very tired.
Yeah.
But then the finished product,
it's always worth it.
It's always worth it.
Man, let me tell you one. For me, it was a time when I MD'd the press play tour.
Yeah.
Where we were international. We were all overseas. It was us and Snoop.
I remember that.
And you know, it was an amazing fun tour. Hands down, one of the funnest tours I've ever been a part. But every night after the first show, go back to the room.
Yeah.
Notes, go it all. Can the guys get it? Can you get the guys up? It's like 2 a.m. We're in Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, man, they need to let them get a little sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I think at the end of the day, every time I was because I didn't play that tour, Spank played that.
Yeah.
Every time you see it, I'm like, I'm sitting out there at the board. I'm like, oh yeah, man, it was worth it.
Absolutely.
So much to it, man. So, speaking of the shorties, first of all, I was excited when you had your son.
Man, I was excited.
How old is he now?
My son is 4 years old, man. He's the epitome of a cancer baby.
Okay.
Adam Blackstone Jr. We call him A2. And man, he just is so amazing. He's inspiring. He's so much smarter than me.
That's like my kids too, man. So I feel embarrassed sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
he's just got it. His retention, man. He pulls out songs and keys and lyrics, and I'm like,
so he plays, or he has an interest.
He has an interest.
Okay.
He was more the singer, I think, like his mother.
That's dope. That's dope.
But recently, he's been doing voiceovers for Disney and Nick Jr.
That's huge.
Yeah, man. So he has the personality that's going to transcend television for sure.
Kids, they change everything.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
It changed my life. You know, I was married a good while, and me and my wife were able to wake up, say, yo, we're going to get on the plane, go to LA. You know what I'm saying? Or, yo, I'm going out with, I don't know, Janet. She's going to Australia for a month. Just come with me.
Yeah.
Can't do that no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything is a plan, but he's my priority, man. I'm actually missing part of the weekend of the Grammys because I'm going to fly home tonight, see his basketball game at 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's what let's shout out to that because that's what it is.
Every weekend, I don't care where I'm at. I can't miss it, bro. I can't miss it. Those are the formative things that, you know, matter to me. You know, everything I do is for him anyway. And it's like, if I'm not there to see his successes, it doesn't make sense for me to be out here.
I think it's good for other musicians to know, to speak of fatherhood and motherhood with the kids and how important it is. I know for me, it's different, you know. For those that don't know, you know, I pastor in the church. And so now, like my son, he's 10, he plays, you know, AAU. And so I'm doing things that my father would have never done. Like church is at 11, my son has a basketball game at 8:30. I'm up, I'm there, doing it all so I could be with him, go to church. After church, I'm headed back to my daughter's volleyball game because I think it's just so important for them to see us in their life. And then I'm sure your son, he may not know it now, but he's gonna know one day, like my dad, or he might know it now, man, my dad is famous.
Man, I that's funny. I would consider myself an old parent.
Oh man,
I always think like, I'm gonna say, son, I play for Puffy. He gonna be like,
who is that? That's like my kids the same thing. My kids call certain people old school.
Yeah.
I'll be like, that. Okay.
But the other thing that is interesting, and I know we getting off a little bit, but like we also do Guitar Center runs, right? My son loves the drum room.
My son too.
Yeah. So it's a funny story, kind of weird, but funny story is like, you know, Alicia Keys' picture is up in the front of Guitar Center for like Yamaha piano. So he says like, hey, that's, you know, Miss Alicia. So the people at the Guitar Center are like, oh, he's such a big imagination. And then he's looking at them like, no, like, that's, I know her. That's the homie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or he goes to art school and we talked about concerts. And they say, what concert have you been to? And so he'll say, you know, Uncle Justin. And they'll be like,
and they're like, who was Uncle Justin? Play at a local bar down the street? Local.
Like Justin.
They're like, no, worldwide, Justin Timberlake.
So they say, oh, he has such a big imagination. It's just funny to see his normalcy. Yeah. Which I think is cool in a weird way. It's that the same thing I think about Derek Hodge when I was in 9th grade. Yeah. It was normal for me to then proceed in life and say, you know, there's a different standard. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? For myself. Absolutely. And for everybody else around me. Because if you ain't doing what I saw, who I think is the best. Right. Everybody got to push their level up. So I think it's pretty cool. It's weird, but it's also cool for him to have these people be tangible to him and say, nobody can put my son down or limit his expectations because he's seen it on a global and a grand stage, and he knows that he can do it. It's almost like, you know, Barack Obama is the only president he really knows. Yeah, so same with my kids. It's not a big deal. I'm not gonna say it's not a big deal, but I'm saying it's not unattainable to be the president. And that's their normal now. That's their normal. That's what I'm saying. Good. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, having him, man, has just been a huge blessing for me. It's prioritized my life.
Yeah.
It's let me, I just turned 38 in December.
Okay.
So it's let me also reevaluate the longevity of the word career.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, musicians may not know this, but you know, when we get the cash in hand or check in hand, you know, that's not going to a 401 or that's not going to a pension.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, tomorrow's not promised. So in the recent 60 days that I've turned 38, my whole thinking has shifted. Like I have to leave something not only monetarily, but just legacy wise for my son.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine, Johnny Smurf Smith, said like, yo, don't let us die with all this good music in our laptops.
Right.
Or these credits that have not been able to be posted or released. It's cool to YouTube and see the gigs and see the couple shows, but that's not going to be what the residual income is going to help our kids.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Musicians and money.
Yeah.
I know, you know, and let me tell you, I've been in the game doing like the professional side of the game since '99.
Okay.
As I look back, I'll be like, I wish I would have did something different with that money, you know. And I learned, but it was never too late for me to learn. You know, I was blessed to have a father that taught us how to, or told us, instructed us to be wise with our money. What do you think about, because we see a lot of guys that spend a lot of money.
Yes.
Frivolously, you know, and they're just out there. You know, we got $1,000 tennis shoes, and you know, some people buying cars without having a house, and
crazy.
Just let's talk about that. And we're saying this really to just educate,
to help
musicians and help you guys, because these gigs don't last forever. In case you didn't know, they don't last forever.
And the other thing is, not only do they not last forever, it is the artist's right to switch up whenever
at any given moment.
Yeah. So you know, you can't give. You know, that's one of the reasons why I've been I don't want to say forced, but forced in a good way, but to have multiple clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at any time, you know, a female client could get pregnant.
Yep.
You know, a male client could get married and say, you know what, man, I'm just not feeling this tour life no more.
Or they're rich and they'll say, I want to take time off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are, okay, so
before I got the Justin gig, he took 7 years off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say the rich thing, but he wanted to do movies.
Yeah.
So that was his right to say, yo, we're going to shut the music down for a second. I'm going to do these movies. You know, his band at the time, I'm sure they didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? I was a little different in my growing up finances, is that for whatever reason, I never wanted to ask my parents for money if I didn't have to.
Yeah, same here.
So I was grinding out to say, let me try to get my own money.
Right.
And that $30 gig turned into $100, and $100 turned into $250, and $250 turned to $500, so on and so forth. Also, getting a wife, and then having a child. I don't think I knew the financial responsibility that came with when I got married at 24. So it's like, you know, I can't get the newest tennis shoes at that time. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I don't really know where the next gig or when the next gig is. So I became a huge saver, man.
That's good, man.
I
wasn't. But that's good.
I became a huge saver, and nobody really taught me that. I think it was always subconsciously in fear of not knowing where the next gig was coming from. I believed in myself. I believe in my talent. I had no idea what a musical director was. So, you know, I was just out here playing the bass, and the pay was cool. I remember Sean G calling me for the first time, like, you know, I'm going to pay you this amount to play a week. And I was like, yo, you going to pay me to play the bass?
Yeah.
Like,
who was it? He called you for Jill?
For Jaguar Wright.
Oh, for Jaguar
This
Wright.
is before, you know, my succession in Philadelphia music, just in general, it has its own whole story. Like going from session player to Jazzy Fat Nasties, which was the little sisters of the Roots. to OK Player Tour, which was Amir's curated playlist, but he did it live.
Yeah.
Which people are just doing that now regular, but he kind of started that thing.
He started a lot, man.
Where I'm from.
Yeah.
Going to Jaguar Wright, who was a roots artist, and she was opening for them. Going to Music Soul Child.
Yeah.
Vivian Green, and then I got Jill. So that was like, you know, I feel like I have played, and far in between there was every other local Philly. You know, so I had a trajectory that ended me in the Philadelphia scene with Jill, but that was all because I was making myself available and believing in myself to do what I foresaw myself doing. And with that happening, like I said, each gig was an audition. I didn't realize it was an audition for the next gig. People are watching you constantly. Always know somebody's watching you.
Yes.
And once I found that out, like I said, not really knowing where the next gig was coming from, I just would save. I would save my money, man. So I've been, you know, not a lot of people can say this, but I've been a great saver. But it's come in handy because, you know, you get pregnant, you have a baby, you have bills, you know what I mean? We have insurance, we have life insurance, we have car notes, stuff like that, where it's like, I didn't have that at 23. I was, you know, living at my parents' house in my 20s. I ain't had no bills. You know, or 19, 20, I moved out. It's like, so I think being financially responsible is a big must. Now, we go back and talk about accessibility because on the gram, which I'm not too good at,
me neither,
which is okay for me, but the culture is made to believe that you have to have those things.
Correct.
And that is not the truth.
Not the truth.
It's not the truth. Everybody has their own lane, and what God has for you is for you. And if people could really hone into that, I actually think it would even be like less competition musically, stylistically, shoes. Like
I got a funny story about that. I'm gonna tell you what changed my whole view. So I do this thing. BB Winans always, shout out to BB. He always calls when he does this thing for Oprah called her Super Soul Sunday, and it's this huge event at the Oprah Winfrey estate that she hosts. And after we play, it's an amazing thing. You're talking about the who's who in every piece of entertainment in life.
We see you on OWN, bro. We see you on OWN.
Oh man, whatever. and so afterwards, we have this amazing brunch.
Yes.
And so I sit down. There's a gentleman. I said, I'm not even looking at him. I just see as the guy. I said, is this seat taken? He said, no, sure, sit down. I'm sitting down. I'm eating, and I look over. And it's George Lucas. So he's sitting next to me. And first of all,
Mr. Star Wars.
Mr. Star Wars, for those who do not know. And I'm a Star Wars geek.
Okay.
I watched every episode. The final one was sad, you know, just that it had to end. But it was amazing, all the things they're doing. But I've been a fan of his since I was a kid. And I looked at him.
Tell us what he had on.
He had on some semi-dirty Adidas, some regular blue jeans.
Yep.
And a white, no name, from what it looked like, button up. And I just sat there first, and you know, I'm like, man. And I met him. He was such a cool guy. Humility to do all he's done for society and the world.
Yeah.
And I watched him and his wife. You know, philanthropist par excellence. Yes. And then I talked to him. It's cool, but I'm watching, and that changed my thinking. I said, I don't need every pair of Jordans like I think I do. I don't need, you know, these Balenciagas. And I'm a tennis shoe guy too. I'm like, I don't need it like that. But
one of the things that changed me, similar story, complete opposite end. I was with NERD and Pharrell. The flyest clothes ever, right? He has the dopest, you know, Chanel sweatshirt with the thing on a Monday rehearsal, and then we get the Wednesday rehearsal, and I'm like, he got the same joint on. And then I get the Friday rehearsal, I'm like, that's the same. He got the same joint on. So in a different way, not necessarily the basic white George Lucas t-shirt, he had the flyest joint. But he was wearing it every day, which let me know that even through your money-making process, you know what I'm saying? Be yourself and be original, and that the appearance does matter, but it's also, it doesn't have to be fabricated.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I guess that goes to, which we can talk about, just being yourself.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? If George Lucas dressed like that before Star Wars, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And matter of fact, when you see some of the outtakes of him directing in the 70s, 80s, it almost looked like he had on the same outfit.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
but
you know, he hasn't changed, you know, based off of his income.
So good, man. Let me ask you this. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your interests outside of music.
Yes,
what are you,
so many.
What is tell us some of the main things. I mean, let me talk for me, bro. And I know all of the homies get tired of me talking about this. I'm always trying to introduce the fellas to golf because I got this new addiction, right?
You and Chris Johnson.
Chris, actually Chris was one of the first ones that I was like, Chris is playing. And then Lawrence, LB, our boy that works with Robin Thicke, going out playing with him and making me look like a fool the first time we played. I was like, what is this? I got into that and I'm excited to have something outside of music.
Yes.
So, aside, it's golf, it's basketball, it's the Lakers for me. What is it for you?
So it's different pockets sometimes for me. I'm really into cinematography.
Okay, dope.
And like these young kids shooting these videos, whether it's iPhone or a Canon or a Sony, and I'm like, yo, like this is really interesting to me to tell a story in 60 seconds, like whether like an IG 60 seconds. It puts we didn't have that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When we YouTubed, when we had to see a concert, you had to go.
You had to go.
We had to buy a flight and go. Now, these kids are doing behind the scenes and stuff like that. So the cinematography is really something I want to get into. That's made me restudy Hype Williams. It's made me restudy George Lucas. It's made me restudy
Michael Bay, all these guys.
Just like the cats. I'm a big M. Night fan. He's from Philly. He's
I didn't know he was from Philly.
He's my Sixers brother.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So just like how people are shooting things. So that's one thing I'm into. My favorite pastime of all time is going to see my Sixers play basketball.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago when I started working with the NBA for All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, shout out to you on that too. Every year I see Adam I'll be at home watching the dunk contest. Look at Adam on the floor.
I called you. I said, where you at?
You did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I said, come through.
But it's huge, man. I'm like, look at my boy. And I get excited, because I feel like when you're doing it, I'm doing it. So I'm absolutely. Like, yeah, man. So it's good. Tell us about it.
So that has been one of the gigs where I don't play all the time. I curate the music for the weekend. Yeah. But the relationship with the NBA is something that I never would have dreamed that I even knew was possible, because growing up, you don't know all the details that each and every show, not just a basketball game, that's a television show. Yeah, when you watch on TNT, ESPN, it's a show. They have a producer, they have cameramen, they have sound men, they have bump in, bump out, dun 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 dun. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all of those things that I've been able to be engulfed in the inner workings of, which also help drive my passion for basketball. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, one of the lessons in that is that there are so many jobs in the music industry that have nothing to do with your instrument. Exactly. And I see myself moving away from playing the bass more and more and just curating corporations' musical needs. Whether that be with a track, whether that be with a band, whether that be me being the liaison to communicate with the artist for them to say, this is really what we want. You know what I mean? All-Star Weekends in Chicago this year. So I got Common doing the NBA introductions and I got Chance the Rapper doing halftime. And so you have to kind of tell those artists who are used to being on a stage of their own, this ain't really that. We're fitting a concert into a sporting event. So this is how we scale it back or bring bits and pieces of your element of your concert into a sporting event. You know what I mean? The stage that's normally 70 feet for your concert, you still have you have a basketball court in the middle of it now. So how will we creatively get to the stage, stuff like that? So
that production element is so
important
because you watch it just as a fan, you're watching the staging. The NBA has done a great job of bringing entertainment.
Shout out David Stern.
Yes,
rest in peace.
man. Shout out to
he's
the
one
legend.
of the main ones that did that, and Adam Silver has really pushed hip hop in the culture of basketball. I don't even think some of the young guys really realize what Adam Silver has done to recreate what the 90s boom did. You know, watching AI come to the arena in baggy clothes and braids.
And then they switch it
Brandon, up. And then they switch it up.
And now Adam Silver.
And now I see Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
And I see James Harden with the braids. And like, you know, LeBron's even moving away from wearing suits, and they coming in off-white hoodies.
So the hoodies with the blazer. All of that,
so it's like, you know, Adam Silver has really like embraced the culture, and as long as we don't do anything to taint that or make it like a spectacle, I think he's with it. So having an all hip hop last year for the first time, All-Star Weekend with J. Cole during halftime and Meek Mill doing the player introductions was a first.
Yeah, that was big.
That was very big for the culture, which has now, and I don't know when this is showing, but has now influenced other sporting things like NFL being in LA next year. It's only right with Dre and Snoop and Kendrick.
Oh, it's only right.
That's what it should be. I'm saying that right now.
That's exactly what it should be.
Nisan, Stewart, LA Super Bowl, the first ever hip hop.
They gotta let you. I mean, because you MD with Dre, which, by the way, that's another amazing thing. Like it would be great. It would be great to see Adam Blackstone, Basic Black, with Dr. Dre, because what you guys have done, even, you know, if you hadn't had the chance to see, I mean, of course, there's some things online. But to see you do that, and that's my favorite style of music. You know, that's
I remember I gotta tell this Nisan story. He called me, he said, yo, they said Dre is going on tour. And so I ended up getting, this is, I don't know if people know this story. So I just want to say this, me not being the West Coast guy. I got the Dr. Dre gig from us reaching out to him to be on Eminem's set the year before.
Okay.
That was something big that we was like, yo, we gonna bring Dre out. Had no idea Dre was even thinking about doing a concert next year. Or actually, I want to say it might have been 2 years in between. So we brought Dr. Dre out for our thing. And that was his first time, I want to say in 13 years, that he had either done a public music thing or at least a live gig. When he got the call for Coachella, he just called Eminem's whole crew, from production to lights to all of that, because that was the last thing that he had done. So that's how I got the Dr. Dre gig.
Which was huge. And then let me add to the story, because at the time when he was doing it, they reached out to both of us. And you and I talked.
We talked.
So this is just for other musicians to kind of understand how you should be, because I'm a believer, and we'll segue to faith. What's for me is for me. Absolutely. You know, we present our best thing, and sometimes you get chosen, sometimes you don't. And I have no problem with it. Actually, I was happy. Because you got some West Coast, because you got our boy Monty. Shout out to Monty, got DJ. You know, it was amazing, man. Yeah, it was amazing, man.
You know, Danny Chang's on there.
Danny, shout out to Danny doing it, man. He's the scientist on the.
So it was cool, and you know, I don't think, like I said, I know a lot of younger guys don't realize how much we speak outside of just like the regular. Did you get the gig or did I get the gig? It's like, you know, this is really a thing where we're asking each other advice. I've called you, you know,
and vice versa too.
And vice versa too. And so that I felt at ease with you calling me, because at that time I don't think we knew what was going on.
None of us really knew. But I think too, we had so much on our plates, and that's the thing for me. Like you spoke earlier about, I mean, not many can do this. Work with multiple artists at one time, with an artist demanding or commanding 100% of your energy and your time. And I mean, everything works out. It all works out. And for me, it works out because of, when I can segue to this, we could talk about our faith. I'm a believer that when we prepare because preparation is key. When we prepare ourselves for whatever is ahead, I think when those opportunities come, we'll be ready to take them. Some we want, some we like, oh, I didn't get that. I mean, I'm cool with it when certain things happen because we're doing so many things from the normal thing that people see, the musical directing piece and musician, but then there's other things like the producing records or now producing live shows. There's so many things that you can do. So many
or this.
Yeah, now different. And, I'm in a different place now.
Yeah.
I still play. I do a few things here and there, but I got other things. I run with my team. We run a CDC, a Community Development Corporation. That's going to be the biggest in Los Angeles.
That's amazing. And
we're working toward that. But our faith in it, because for me, I started everything in the church. I learned right in Linwood about playing the drums, watching my brother-in-law and other D-Loke, Jamie Gamble guys from our city. But my faith behind my work, that was important to me because my father taught us that. That was one of the things I grabbed first. Like, make sure you believe in yourself. Believe, for us, it's, God, He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above what we can ask or think. And some people get, they don't, when they hear us talking about that in our space of work, there's
they don't want
to
relate it.
They don't want to relate it, but it is what it is.
It's the truth.
Yeah, we're called to a secular place.
Yeah.
And I believe we're the lights in the places that we are called to. My mother told me, as she was transitioning, she was getting ready to pass, she said, continue to do what you're going to do because you have an opportunity to share things with people that most people can't even get to that space. So my faith is important. I know your faith is important too.
Very much so. I mean, I've been steadfast in how, my faith, earlier 2000s, I would be called the church boy at the sessions for the rappers or whatever. And I never I didn't really hear that, and this could be my own programming, which is so important as a parent, that I never thought that was like they were talking about me.
Right.
I'm not saying I thought it was a great thing to say, but I never looked at it as, I don't want them to say that. I thought that was just kind of who I was to them. And then they also knew, they was in there smoking or whatever, and they offered me some one time, I say no. The second time I say no. Then they just don't offer no more, and it's cool.
Right.
It's not like it was a thing, or I'm being overbearing in their space. Because the other thing I think about faith is that it's within yourself. It's all centered. It radiates out, but it's a centered thing. So if you know who you are, you don't make other people uncomfortable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they have their own things to deal with. I have my own things to deal with. Once I found out that music could be a career, I said, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to do the best that I can in the opportunities that God has given me to prepare my plate for the next buffet.
That's right.
Not to get deep at all, but I remember hearing Drake's song, not knowing who this kid was, and I was like, I'm gonna work with him. And then it's like I remember getting a call for it, but it was like I just had said it. And my words had power.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I've also just to reiterate, and you just said this, what God has for us is for us. A lot of times when you get sometimes I'm the popular guy on television right now, and there might be some talk of like the undercuts or stuff like that, but I've never been able to live with myself if that was an issue. Getting the calls has nothing to do with putting anybody else down. Their product is their product, and at this time, whether it be today or last week or last year or I have a product that certain people want to invest in. It's not always going to be like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'd say to that piece, and because I know, from my period, it happened for me. Your reputation precedes itself. So people will call you because, A&Rs from labels will call because, it was called Nisan. They just want to not worry about it. It's easy. So it's called Adam. because it's easy. We see on TV, we watch performances. It was great. It's call him. So that's where you are. To me, when I see whether it's Rihanna, whether it's been Dr. Dre, Puff, whoever, that's just the way that it goes, and it's going to keep going until you decide.
Or until God has another plan too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm willing to, when we say I had to learn this having my son, like God's will be done, it's like, do we really believe that? Because his will is not always our will.
Trust me.
You know what I'm saying? So it comes to a point where it's like you have to just trust and believe that the path that you're on is destined beyond you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I never would have 20 years ago thought I'd be doing my 3rd Super Bowl. Like,
man.
But now I'm like, I'm about to do 10. I could just tell myself that, and I don't know if that means 10 in a row. I don't know if that means Super Bowl 70. But it's like I have the faith to say I have a great product. I work diligently. I trust God that if He gives me this idea, it's gonna happen.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, faith is a big deal in not only my family and myself, but just in the circles that I'm in. And then I think like faith inspires.
Yes.
So I'm able to see the younger 15, 16-year-old kids, baby boy drummer.
Yes.
I don't know how old he is, 6.
Yeah. Killing it on TV,
God.
opportunities.
Seeing, there's a kid, I think he's from LA, Jaden. Plays bass and keys. It's like my faith to get where I'm at is hopefully inspiring them to say,
absolutely,
I'm gonna be better than that. You know what I mean? And it's not a better in skill, but just life.
And there's nothing wrong with that. My father used to say, I want my kids to pass me.
Yes.
I went through this. I don't want them to have to go through that. I want them to be more successful than me. And I think the kids should, aspire to do great things, man. So
for sure, your boy LeBron commercial, I had to really dissect it, and I still am. He said, "No more humble beginnings."
Some people had a problem with that,
and I did. I did, because
I understand what he's talking about, though. I think that what he's saying is that let's advance it, like so that the next, his story as a kid is growing up with his mother and their situation. And then all of a sudden, who he is now, he says, no, I hope somebody doesn't have to go through that.
That's what I'm saying. And so it's weird because as a culture, we'll say our beginnings help shape who we are.
Yeah.
But what if we were where we are 20 years ago?
Yeah.
At 20, at 18, if I was where I'm at, not necessarily with gigs, but just in the mindset, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think he's talking about. Like we're giving these people school and scholastic opportunities.
Amazing.
And there's a funny thing on his daughter's thing. I'm really not a LeBron fan, but I just know a lot about basketball. But
LBJ.
There's a Caucasian kid at his house, and there's it's not his house. It's the school. It's the Ohio school. And a black kid, he said he never had saw a pantry before.
I remember that.
They just knew about a refrigerator and like mom and dad used to put snacks in a drawer or a closet. And I remember growing up like this is the snack drawer. This is where we get the paper bags and like the kids saw a pantry and that was like a big deal for him. And I was like, yo, I got a pantry. Like my son don't know what it's like to not have that. And as I know that might sound small to some people,
that's huge.
But that lets him know he could have 4 pantries in his house. You know what I'm saying? I got one, I had none. You know what I'm saying? So I just think advancing the mindset to be able to do whatever people aspire to be, man, with God and with faith, it's undeniable. It's almost easy access.
That's so
And I
good.
think that's one of the things that he's saying. One of the things that I want to do in my actions is just say, yo, it's all accessible to you. These children, you don't have to play the bass, you don't have to play the drums to work at the Staples Center.
That's correct.
And go to the Lakers game and the Grammys.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Do whatever, you
do whatever you want to do. You can be behind the camera and you're shooting the Olympics and you're shooting Justin Timberlake DVD.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I see the same camera people when I go to the basketball game that did BET Awards.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Some of the same producers, stage managers. It's just so many careers that can happen in this space. I think that's one of the things that we want to do even with our Community Development Corporation, Elevated CDC, to introduce these young people to these opportunities that are out there. Our cities, Philly, shout out to Philly. You guys are doing amazing things in the city. But LA, if, us being in downtown right now, seeing what's happening. I was at breakfast, no pun intended by saying this, but Tuesday with Steve Ballmer. And and he's talking to faith leaders on, about what he would love to do in this city, and we're seeing the opportunity. So now I find myself driving around. Like he walked, downtown didn't look like this 10 years ago. I remember all this that where we are right now. These were parking lots. Yeah. When I first got my Laker tickets, these were parking lots, and now they are. It's just a multi-billion-dollar things happening.
Shout out to LA and just embracing the city to advance in all big cities. Shout out to Philadelphia for holding it down and preserving the culture of music and soul music.
Oh man, you guys have been ahead in that, and it's great, man. It's great. So you have a whole generation that's linked to that. So all those artists that you named earlier, they do a show. People are coming. Yeah,
anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. People are coming.
Anywhere.
People are coming,
it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
The last thing I want to ask you.
We could do this all day. Man, see, we could do a series.
The last thing I want to ask you is first of all, we know that you haven't peaked. There's more things that are going to be happening, man, and that's
I receive it.
Yeah, I know that. We boys, we friends. I see it and I support it and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Always.
When you get to the end of your career as we know it. Yeah. Or when you get older in age, what do you want people to remember about Adam?
I want people to say, I loved my family. I loved my friends. Yeah. And I feel like one of my ministries is to provide opportunities for the people around me.
Yes, sir.
It's a gift and a curse though, Nisan.
Yes, it is.
I call the same people all the time a lot because the persons or corporations calling me have a level of expectation as well. You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of people get mad at that. They get mad at you. I went through the same thing. When an artist wants to deliver a product, you don't want to have to triple work, and so you call people.
Depending on, you said it before, the labels watch a show or they watch VMAs or they watch Good Morning America or they watch BET Awards or they watch whatever, and they say, oh, call that guy. We want that product.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to trust my product
with anybody.
You
know who told me that first? Shout out again to Ricky Minor.
Yeah.
The one thing Ricky told me that stuck with me, and again, he was the mentor. He was the one that the first person I paid attention to doing that thing.
Gotcha.
He said, you can't take everybody with you. But where you going? He said, you're going to remember that one day.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way, and people get, mad. There's certain things you don't want to deal with at certain levels. So you call who you're comfortable with, just like Ricky does, just like when LeBron goes places and he takes his guys.
He's like, Damon Jones is coming with me.
Yes, he's coming. Maverick is going to have a part. Rich is going to have,
Yes, So, me as the overseer now of, this BBE product, even my staff, I've been hesitant to grow my staff. My wife is for sure the CFO. We started this together. My cousin is my assistant.
Yeah.
My wife's best friend is our media manager. You know what I mean? So and that has to grow.
Yeah.
I'm learning that by watching, I have watched Steve Jobs and watching, people, Paul Rosenberg and watching, Russell Simmons and watching Puff.
Yeah.
Very hands-on moguls.
Yeah.
But they trust the people around them. So for me as an MD, I have already known I'm only as good as my team. Yes, but as a business, as a CEO now, I'm trying to actually listen to my musician self in the business hat as well. I'm only as good as the team around me. And for now, the 4-person team I got, we doing all right.
Yeah, y'all doing a great job.
However, it is time for growth.
Yeah.
And I think 2020 is a year of having uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah. Yes.
Being put in uncomfortable rooms. Because God prepares that for us. So it's like, it's not, if you're in the room, you belong there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I mean as a super broad stroke. If I used to watch you and Ricky and Paul Merkovich and Rob Lewis. I come to center stage and y'all be in room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll be in 9. It'd be somebody. Ricky probably got 3 and 10. So I'll be like, yo, I'm seeing the same people. I see the leaders, you, Ricky, you know, but then I see Craig with you all the time. I see Lenny with Ricky all the time. I see Dave DeLone with Ricky all the time. You know, I see Jubu with you all the time. I see, you know, and so I'm like, not only do I want to build a team like that, because I know you know this, but I'm going to just tell you because we're on camera, but they represent you. When you go out too. If I see Damo, I think of you. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I see Jubu, I think of you, and that's my relationship with you. Not that they are not their own CEOs and the greatest musicians, but I think of how when I met them, what they do. So people, for me, even when they see my squad or what we deem my squad or whatever, because everybody is not just squads. It's a big community, but they represent us. So that goes back to saying, you know, hiring people that you trust to represent you, to represent your brand, and to represent the music. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that doesn't happen often. So I have a tight-knit thing that there's a couple gems that I can see and I weed out, and I'm like, yo, he got it. He doing me better than me. Like Derek Cobb's, you know what I'm saying? Like he do me better than me.
Shout out to Derek, man. Amazing.
And you know, Devin Johnson is another one. He do me better than me. And like T Vaughn, who is not a aged young guy, but I think he's been more in gospel, but now transitioning into a lot of pop things. He do me better than me. So when I see that, I'm proud because that makes me realize, like when you say, yo, when I first watched Justin and the VMAs, like I hear that in they stuff. But they just kind of took it and went to another level.
And you know, it's good when we can appreciate. There's some people that don't know how to graduate to the next level because they have the thing they want to stay in the same place forever. But I think we meet younger people that's doing it and they do it so well.
So good.
I think it's a great thing, man. And so shout out to all the guys coming, you know. You have been an inspiration to them, to me, friends, we peers, man. You know, and I think it's an amazing thing. So
the last thing I want to say is that, like, also for what we do, when you say what the legacy left behind, it's like, it's not the music. I want people to think more about the character of the person. You know what I'm saying? I just remember, like I said, meeting you and Teddy and Warren. It was like, you know, you guys inspire me, but we've been able to remain friends outside of if our arms get cut off tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's, you know, the content and the character, humility over the musicianship for me is the legacy that I'm trying to leave behind.
Well, that's amazing, man. Listen, I just want to thank you, AB, for coming out, man, for our first Life and Beats Per Minute podcast. I'm just excited for your future, man. You know, always gonna be praying for you. You know, always here with you, man. For those tuning in, man, keep listening. But we've been blessed to have an amazing experience with the Adam Blackstone. Follow him on all his social media. What we have at Basic Black, at BBE,
at Basic Black, at Adam Blackstone, and you know, even some of the future things we're talking about media wise and all of that. I want to venture out and branch out and start to incorporate many different things. So continue to follow us, pray for me. I'll be doing the same for y'all.
Good deal. Till next time, pay attention to your life and beats per minute. Peace. We out of here.